So let's move on to Brazil. How was your experience in Brazil?
Now, first of all, let me just say that I am very biased when it comes to Brazil. I love Brazil with all my being. I lived 5 years in Rio de Janeiro. I love everything about Rio de Janeiro. When I first moved to Brazil, I lived in the north of the country. So I lived in the south. I lived in Florianopolis for 6 months. Florianopolis is the, Brazil is up north is black, and as you go south, it becomes whiter and whiter and whiter. So the south part of Brazil is more like the white side, the white part of Brazil, all the famous white supermodel come from the south, and then and it's the coldest part also. So when I moved to Brazil, I first moved to Florianopolis. It was okay, but not that much. And then I moved to Rio, and then it just blew my mind. I think that Rio is one of the best city in the world, hands down. Now, yes, as I said again, there's positive and negative everywhere. So Brazil has some problems, but I still believe that Rio, especially Rio de Janeiro, is one of the best city in the world, hands down. For music, for food, for nightlife, for women, for everything. But again, I'm biased, so I have it. No matter what you're going to tell me about Brazil, I'm still going to tell you yes. But it's a fantastic country, and yes, I know people with the first thing people are going to tell you, they're going to tell you, oh, but it's a dangerous country, and I will say yes, it is, and no, it isn't. I lived in Brazil for 5 years, and for 4 years I lived in a favela in Rio de Janeiro, and I've never had such a great time than when I lived in the favela. Now, when I moved to Rio first time, I lived in Copacabana. So Copacabana is the chic area of Rio de Janeiro. I had an apartment in a building which is very chic, rich people, because it's Copacabana, of course. I lived there for a few months, and the only experience I had with my neighbors was hi and bye. That's the only thing they said to me, hi and bye. So rich Brazilians are very uptight. So they think they're special, and yes, they're special because, of course, it's a special, it's a certain class of the society anyway. And there's not a lot of rich black Brazilians, so mostly white. Anyway, and then for a few months, I live in that place. I go out, I party, I meet a lot of people, but I never meet my neighbors. Upscale white people, rich people, never want to talk to me. We meet in the elevator, hi and bye. That's the only thing we have, only relationship we have. So after a few months in living in Brazil, I never actually got to meet the real carioca lifestyle, the real Rio lifestyle. I meet people outside, but nothing like in a family setup kind of thing. And then I moved to the favela. The first house I rented there, the guy has it's like a 2-floor house, and I was renting the top floor of his apartment. And then on the day that I moved there, this guy was having a barbecue. So the landlord, he said, as I could get there, the first thing he said, oh, hey, come on, let me introduce you to my family. And I was surprised because that was the first time that actually I went into a family setup where they invited me into their home, and then I get to know the Brazilian cariocas. And I go there, and then he introduced me to his wife and to his children. And then, he's a French guy. He's moving here. Like friendly to a point where even me, I felt like something is wrong with them, because the experience I've had in Brazil at the time was not really outside, yes, in the clubs, yeah, but not as in a family setup. The people invite you to their house, and then he had a barbecue. He invited me to the barbecue. I meet the family, it's like I'm part of the family, and that's the first day I met him. I just moved in, and then he said, oh, but you just arrived? You don't know anybody in the favela? Let me introduce you to the people in the favela. And then he proceeded to take me out and show me to everybody in the neighborhood. So I was welcome from that first moment. I was a foreigner. They have never seen me. I didn't speak Portuguese at the time, just very little. And then he took me out, and then he just took me everywhere, presenting me to all his friends, all his people. I was like a star in the favela. And he was like, hey, yeah, this guy is renting a house in my house, apartment in my house. And then he's a French guy. And it was just like from night till day. Now remember, in the favela, it's not people who are well off. It's just people who are getting by. It's like almost like the lower part of the society. But the experience I had with these people was 150% better than what I have had at the beginning in the fancy Copacabana. And this is how I got to my introduction to the favela lifestyle, or to the favela environment. And for the next 4 and something years, that's how I lived. Like, then I stayed in favela all this time, because I felt like that was like one of the most coolest places to be at. The people were friendly, the environment was fantastic. You could do whatever you could there. And then remember, in the favelas, it's also an area there are certain rules. You know, people don't normally, they don't rob their neighbors. You don't rape somebody, because of course, remember, there are rules that you have to follow, because there's different type of policing. The reality is, the bandidos make the law in the favelas. So, and the law is very simple. You don't rob your neighbors, you don't rape women in this thing, and then you have to be respectful to other people. Of course, there's some things that you shouldn't do. For example, you don't walk around and talk to any girls anyhow, because you know she might be someone's girlfriend and you might get fucked up. But that's what it is. So my experience living in Brazil was like, well, as soon as I moved to the favela, it opened up so many different opportunities, and then I started renting apartments to foreigners in the favela. So it was perfect for 4 years. I loved it. But, and then it's the beach, it's everything. I mean, the beach, you know, with the sand, right? And then I felt the warmth. I felt it was just too warm. So after 4 years of the beach, the fun, the fantastic time, I felt that it was like, sometimes you go out in the summer and it's like 45 degrees and then you're sweating like hell, and I'm like, ah. So,
and real quick, what was your dating experience like in Brazil with Brazilian women?
This is something completely different. I mean, it's right there. I like Latin women, but I like the black women, and there is a balance of Latin, black, yellow, green, white that is just perfect. Now remember, there's half of the people in more or less half of the population is black in Brazil. So dating wise is perfect. I have some issues over there, of course, because although they have great women, their women are a little bit like high spirited. So I would just say that, great woman, but sometimes, you know, you might get in trouble. But dating experience, perfect. I love the karaoke lifestyle. Now, Brazilian women take care of their body. It will not be, you will always see women go to the gym. This is something, the gym mindset is completely different in Brazil. Everybody take care of their body because everybody goes to the beach. So, of course, there is some people that are overweight now, but the majority will actually go to the gym to get this perfect body, and then they go to the beach to have that perfect time. The timeline in Brazil is so important. Therefore, I mean, it's just crazy. And the women here, of course, as a foreigner, you know, if you speak, I speak, of course, Portuguese, right? So after a while, because as I got to Brazil, I spoke Spanish, so I could get my Spanish to learn a little bit of Portuguese faster than if I'd gone there without speaking the language. So straight from the beginning, I could communicate with people. And so date-wise, it was perfect. I mean, there's a lot of people who go to Brazil, fall in love, and never leave. And this was part of me, but I fell in love not only with the women, but with the country as well. Perfect. You have to go. I mean, as a black person, I would say that you have to discover Brazil. And not only Brazil, Rio, because Rio is just a part of Brazil, but you have to do Brazil, and then Rio, and then you have to do the northern part, which is the where, you know, the Afro-descendant came from. So came to. So there's a huge history about Africa, with Africa in Brazil, and then Of course, you have the carnival, and the carnival also has a huge part to do with the Afro descendants. So it's a country that you have to discover. It's one of the only countries, for example, that you will see that they have a huge, they have the really different religion. And one of these religions is called Candomblé. Candomblé actually is an African religion that descended through the years, and they're still practicing today. You know, they have the gods called Oshun, Ogun, and those gods actually are these are Yoruba name from Nigeria. So there's a huge Nigerian deities, gods that are still worshipped in Brazil. Yeah, it's crazy. Check it out. Candomblé is called.
And you went from Brazil to Colombia?
No. Actually, after Brazil, I was a little bit like, I wanted to go back home, but I didn't want to go back home. So I moved back to Denmark for a few months, and then for 18 months, and then came back but I missed South America. So I fell in love with South America the first time I moved here, which was when I moved to Argentina. So, and I fell in love, and I wanted to discover more and more here, and also after Brazil, I went back home, resourced myself a little bit, and then came back here. And now I'm in Colombia, which I think is perfect because the weather is not so warm, not so cold. It's just springtime all year long. It's perfect. Medellin. Bogota is a little different, and then Cali as well. But Medellin has the perfect weather for me. I like this spring-like weather, not too cold, not too warm. You know, of course we don't have the beach, but eventually it's not, you never get the 40, 45 degrees here, like Brazil. Brazil, some summers it was like even 48, 49, 50. So it's just crazy. You know, it was just too warm for me. But you know, yin and yang, you know, positive, negative in everywhere. So.
Mm-hmm. So, give us your top 3 countries.
Brazil, Japan, Australia.
Wow, you wouldn't put Colombia up in there?
I would, but I live in Colombia, so I'm only here 2 years. I love Colombia. I think I love Medellin. I would say that it's too early for me to put Colombia up there. Yes, it's fantastic, but right now because I live in Colombia, I cannot put it as in my top because I live here. But I would say, yeah, it could be like in the top 5. Colombia would be in the top 5.
Okay, and give us a comparison: Colombian women versus Brazilian women.
Again, I'm biased. So I first of all, I think that here you have great women in both sides, whether it's Brazil or it's Colombia. You have great women anywhere. It's Latin women. I love Latin women. I love black women. There's a lot of black women here too, so it's perfect for me. The thing that I would say I would push a little bit towards Brazilian than Colombian. I think that here there is a little bit too much of the plastic surgery, especially fake ass mindset, and locals love it. And I see so many of them, and I feel like not so much. Now, of course, don't get me wrong, Brazilians also do a lot of plastic surgery, but it looks so much more natural than what you see here. I think like the BBL mindset right now is just going like the craze of BBL is the Brazilian butt lift, right? And then I don't know. I always look at women who have this BBL like, I see something I see completely like, but here they love those butts. I think they love it too in the US as well. I think it's going everywhere. But and in Brazil it's a little bit different. So. And on beauty, I'll put them on the same level. Yeah.
Okay, and we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, man. We appreciate you coming on the show for the interview, DJ JayBrown.
Thank you for having me, man.
And
as I said, I hope that all of you decide one day to travel and discover the world. So it's a beautiful adventure, and the only thing you need is to just buy a plane ticket. And that's the first part of every travel is to actually take the plane ticket and then just go for it. And don't of course you just find a place where you would like to discover and then just go for it. That's what it is. So I hope to see you soon somewhere around the world, right?
Right. Yeah, kind of beat me to the punch. But I was going to ask, what suggestion would you give to brothers who are thinking about traveling the world?
It's not as difficult as it seems. A lot of people think it's so difficult and they have to plan and this and this. But the adventure is actually in the fact that you're going somewhere and then you have made no plan, and then the adventure starts. And then but of course you have to have some kind of incline on where you want to go. But for example, let's say somebody wants to come to Colombia, just buy a plane ticket. That's all it is, man. And then just come over. And then maybe if you don't have to come here and then move here, but start by coming here for a week or weekend or 2 weeks, and then if you like it, come back and again for a little bit longer, and then do the jump. The only start is just to buy that plane ticket. That's all it is. And the world is a fantastic place. You just have to get away from where you come from to understand how beautiful the world is. No matter how good way it is where you are, there will always be somewhere better out there. You just have to go and find it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who feel so comfortable in what we have, because we have everywhere we have this. It's always something beautiful that you never think, well, let me go and figure out how it is over there. But it's so many beautiful places you wouldn't know. So many beautiful places, so many beautiful experiences. And then it's just the joy of discovering new culture, new people, new adventures, man. It's a trip. You gotta go, man. Let's go.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming on, brother.
You're welcome, man.
Hey, guys, make sure you check out the Blackmen Travels merch store, where we have Blackmen Travels t-shirts and Blackmen Travels tank tops. Peace.